You've been grinding away, working long hours at a job that doesn't quite seem to stretch far enough. You've felt it lately, haven't you? Groceries cost more. Rent keeps going up. It feels like everything's getting more expensive, but your paycheck? It stays the same. You've tried to save, but each month, something else drains your account. A surprise bill, a car repair, maybe even just the rising cost of gas. And it's not just you. Your friends, your family, they're all feeling it too. The news might tell you everything's fine, or they throw around terms like inflation and economic slowdown. But you know better. You feel it deep down. Something's not right. It's like the ground is shifting beneath you, and the recession that they keep debating on TV, it feels real in your life right now. Maybe you're wondering, how did we get here? How did the economy, which seemed so strong a few years ago, end up making everyday life feel like an uphill battle? Is this really a recession, or is there something else going on? You're not alone in asking these questions. But here's the thing. There's a reason it feels like this. A mix of hidden factors that are playing out behind the scenes. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your wallet feels tighter, why your lifestyle seems harder to maintain, and what you can do to get through it. So, are you ready to peel back the curtain and see the truth? Buckle up, because this is about to get real. Let's get one thing clear. A recession is typically defined by 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. While the GDP numbers might suggest a stable economy, your wallet might be telling a different story. This discrepancy is why many people feel like they're living through a recession, even if the official data doesn't confirm it. To fully understand our current situation, let's take a trip back in time. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, the U.S. economy shrank by nearly 30%, and unemployment reached a staggering 25%. Fast forward to the Great Recession of 2008, the economy contracted by about 4%, and unemployment hit 10%. In both cases, the signs were unmistakable: mass layoffs, plummeting stock markets, and a housing crisis. But today's economic landscape is different. We're not seeing the same dramatic downturns in GDP or employment. Yet many people feel the financial pressure just as intensely. Why? The answer lies in a combination of factors that weren't as pronounced in previous recessions. Let's talk about inflation. It's often called the silent thief because it erodes your purchasing power without you even realizing it. Over the past year, inflation rates have surged to levels not seen in over 4 decades, with the Consumer Price Index, CPI, rising by over 8%. But what does that mean for you? It means that the cost of everyday essentials, groceries, gas, housing, has skyrocketed, but wages haven't kept pace. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, while nominal wages have increased by about 4.6% over the past year, real wages, those adjusted for inflation, have actually decreased. This means that even though you might be earning more on paper, you're effectively earning less because everything costs more. Let's make this tangible. In January 2023, the cost of a gallon of milk was around $3.77. By July 2024, it had risen to $4.16. That might not seem like much, but over a year, that's an additional $156 per year if you're buying 2 gallons of milk a week. Now multiply that by all the other essentials in your shopping cart: eggs, bread, meat, and you're looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of extra dollars spent on the same items. This squeeze is why so many families are feeling financial pressure, even if they haven't lost their jobs. Another key factor contributing to the recession-like feeling is ongoing supply chain disruptions. The COVID-19 pandemic triggered a global supply chain crisis that we're still feeling today. Factories shut down, shipping routes were disrupted, and there were labor shortages at critical points in the supply chain. This led to shortages of goods, from semiconductors to toilet paper, which in turn drove prices up. For example, the price of used cars shot up by nearly 40% in 2022 due to a shortage of new cars, which was caused by a global semiconductor shortage. And it's not just cars. Everything from electronics to household appliances has been affected. These supply chain issues have contributed significantly to the inflation we're experiencing, making it feel like we're in a recession. Let's shift gears to something less tangible but just as powerful: consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment is essentially how people feel about the economy. When people are worried about the future, they tend to spend less and save more. This behavior can actually slow down economic growth, as consumer spending accounts for nearly 70% of GDP in the United States. According to the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index, consumer confidence has been at its lowest levels since the Great Recession. This pessimism can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If enough people believe the economy is in trouble, they'll cut back on spending, which can lead to an actual economic downturn. Let's look at the housing market as a case study. During the pandemic, the Federal Reserve slashed interest rates to near zero levels, sparking a housing boom. People rushed to buy homes, driving up prices to record levels. But now, with interest rates rising to combat inflation, the housing market is cooling off. Home prices are still high, but fewer people can afford to buy, leading to a slowdown in sales. For instance, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate has jumped from around 3% in early 2022 to over 7% in 2024. For a $300,000 mortgage, that's an increase in monthly payments from about $1,265 to $1,996. This increase has priced many potential buyers out of the market, contributing to the feeling of economic strain. So what can you do to navigate these uncertain times? Here are some practical steps. Start by revisiting your budget. Identify areas where you can cut back. For example, consider cooking at home more often instead of dining out. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American household spends about $3,000 per year on dining out. Cutting that by half could save you $1,500 annually. Consider diversifying your investments into assets that tend to perform well during inflationary periods, such as commodities, real estate, or Treasury inflation-protected securities. Tips. For instance, gold has historically been a hedge against inflation. While it doesn't generate income like stocks or bonds, it tends to hold its value when inflation rises. If you don't have an emergency fund, now is the time to build one. Aim for 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. This fund will give you a financial cushion in case of job loss or unexpected expenses. According to a survey by Bankrate, only 39% of Americans could cover a $1,000 emergency with savings, so building this fund is crucial. If you have high-interest debt, like credit card debt, focus on paying it down. Interest rates are rising, which means carrying a balance will cost you more over time. According to the Federal Reserve, the average credit card interest rate is now over 20%, the highest it's been in decades. Paying off this debt will not only save you money, but also reduce financial stress. In summary, while the technical indicators may not yet point to a recession, the financial strain many people are feeling is real. Between inflation, supply chain issues, and low consumer confidence, it's no wonder it feels like we're in a recession. But by taking proactive steps, budgeting, investing wisely, building an emergency fund, and avoiding high-interest debt, you can protect yourself and your family from the worst effects of economic uncertainty. Hey, thanks for sticking around till the end. Drop a comment below. How are you feeling about the economy right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And I hope you have an awesome day. Until next time, salute.